Yo, what's up everyone, Starry Ray here, and welcome back to another NFL predictions video. Week 16 was a lot of fun, and there's a ton of stories that came out of that week. One of the stories is Tua suffering another concussion, and this is huge because the Dolphins are still fighting for a playoff spot. If Tua misses this game, there's a likelihood that they can miss the playoffs entirely. And disregarding football, it's not good that Tua has suffered his third concussion. As you can see by this article by Yahoo Sports, there's ex-players telling Tua to shut down the season after this concussion. His third concussion this year. Man, that is not something you play with or mess around with. So yeah, it's very scary for Tua right now. For the Dolphins, it's gonna be very rough. Another story is Denver firing head coach Nathaniel Hackett, and this is obviously because of the awful start. As you can see, 4-11 start, but they also had that tremendously awful loss on Christmas to the Rams, and there was a ton of fallout for the Broncos that game. Like, they were fighting on the sidelines in like their team. Like, in-team fighting was going on. They were fighting with the Rams players. It was just an awful event, and Russell Wilson got benched. So yeah, Denver is in a horrible situation right now, and Nathaniel Hackett is one of the reasons why. And finally, the last story I want to talk about is the Chargers finally clinching a playoff spot. Justin Herbert is finally gonna play in the playoffs, finally, for his career. We've been wanting to see it. You know, everybody says he's a social media quarterback who can't win. Now he's gonna have a chance to win something like a meaningful game in the playoffs. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Justin Herbert and the Chargers are finally making it to the playoffs, which is honestly so surprising after all the injuries that they suffered this season. So yeah, week 16 had a lot of news coming out of it, but now we're on to week 17. Before we get into week 17 predictions, make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more NFL prediction videos, and you do not miss out on the Steeler recaps that we do weekly as well. As you can see, the first game is Thursday, and it is the Cowboys versus the Titans. The Cowboys are coming off a win against the Eagles without Jalen Hurts. Now, even though they didn't have Jalen Hurts, they had Gardner Minshew, and it was still a very fun game, and it was kind of close. It came down to the end. However, the loss of Jalen Hurts really was felt for the Eagles. They made so many mistakes that game, and Gardner Minshew is just not, you know, that type of quarterback. He's not on the same level as Jalen Hurts. But the Cowboys pulled it out because at the start, it looked like it wasn't going to be a very good game for them. I think Dak threw that interception early on, and it looked like it was going to be another, you know, Cowboys disappointment. But like I said, they pulled it out and they looked really good. And the Titans are coming off a loss to the Texans. Yes, you heard me right, the Texans. They gave the Texans their second win of the season. And in that game, the Titans only put up 14 points. So yeah, man, the Titans have been, you know, just trending downward. Malik Willis was in at quarterback, and as we know, Malik Willis is not a good quarterback, and he's continued to just really struggle. And with Ryan Tannehill out for the rest of the season, I really don't expect the Tennessee Titans to do much, especially offensively. So because of that, I'm going to be taking the Cowboys this week. Now we move on to Sunday, and that is the Cardinals versus the Falcons. Now, as of recording just this morning, JJ Watt announced his retirement. This is what JJ Watt posted earlier this morning, and I just want to say congratulations to JJ Watt for an amazing career. The Cardinals are coming off that 3-point loss and overtime loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In that game, they didn't play that well. Trace McSorley didn't play that well, but you know, they almost won that game. They played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who haven't been playing well at all either. And the Falcons lost to the Ravens, but you know, they did look a little bit better. You know, Desmond Ridder played a little bit better this game against the Ravens. So when it comes to this matchup, man, it's so hard to pick, but I'm gonna go with the Falcons just because, man, I'll just take the improvement that I saw with Desmond Ridder just into this game a little bit more. You know, he had over 100 yards finally. You know, he didn't even have 100 yards last week against, I don't even remember what they played. But yeah, he didn't even have 100 yards. I think it was the Saints. Like, even the Saints, he didn't do that against the Saints. It's kind of crazy. And Trace McSorley, I mean, we know he's just a backup quarterback. He's not that good. You know, he looked okay, I guess, against Tampa Bay, but it's Tampa Bay. You know, Tampa Bay has just been awful, like I said. So for this game, yeah, I'm going to be taking the Falcons. After that is the Bears versus the Lions. The Lions are coming off that loss to the Panthers, where the Panthers just ran the ball all over them. And I was really surprised with that because the Lions were actually looking good. Like, they were trending upwards. And this game was just so surprising. Like, I was honestly stunned that the Lions were losing a majority of this game. And they lost obviously, but like it wasn't really close at all. And the Bears did get blown out against Buffalo, but I mean, it's Buffalo. What do you expect? You know, Buffalo's one of the best teams in the league right now. It was 35-13. Yeah, but I mean, the Bears didn't really have a chance in this game, if we're being completely honest. but it was pretty much a blowout. So when it comes for this matchup, it's really hard. Both teams are coming off really bad losses, but I think that the Lions there's still like a chance that they can make the playoffs. So like I think that the Lions are going to start playing better. They got shell shocked, but I don't think the Bears have that type of offense to really do it, unless Justin Fields, like obviously Justin Fields is the running game for the Bears. So unless he has an amazing historic game, I don't see that happening again. I don't see the Lions losing or just getting run out of a game. So I'm going to be taking the Lions this week. After that is the Jaguars versus the Texans. The Jaguars are coming off that Thursday night game against the Jets, where they won that game. It wasn't like a very good win, I would say. Like they won it, but it was kind of a dogfight for them. Like the Jets defense made it hard. However, offensively, the Jets couldn't compete at all. So so as long as the Jaguars scored a few points, they probably won that game. They scored 19. It was 19-3. So I mean, the Jets couldn't do anything with Zach Wilson, and he ended up getting benched. So yeah, all the Jags had to do was really score a few times. Just score when they really needed to at the opportunistic moments. And they did it, and they won that game. And I don't even want to credit the Jags defense. I think it was more of Zach Wilson just being, not good. I think that's what it came down to. The Jags, the Jags defense did pressure them a lot, and they didn't make it easy on them. But I think it came down to more of the Jets' just incapabilities at offense. And like I said earlier, the Texans beat the Tennessee Titans. That is that's like a historic upset. Like that has to be an historic upset, because the Titans were looked at as one of the better teams this year. And as soon as they lost Ryan Tannehill, they've just been down. But still, you would think that even with Malik Willis, that they could probably win that game. But that was not the case. The Texans have shown resiliency. They have not given up. They really have continued to play this whole season. They really fight. They're really a fightful team. They're not just laying down and being like, oh, we suck. They're really fighting. Even though their record doesn't show it, they've been fighting this whole season, and they've made games close, and now they've finally won a close game. However, when it comes to this game, I'm going to be taking the Jaguars. The Jaguars are just hotter at the moment. Trevor Lawrence is playing really amazing. Credit to him, because as you guys know, I wasn't that high on him coming into the season, but yeah, he's been playing amazing. The Jags have been clicking at the perfect time, and yeah, they're still fighting. So give me the Jaguars over the Texans. After that is the Broncos versus the Chiefs. Now, we already talked about it with Nathaniel Hackett getting fired, but yeah, the Broncos really just had a historic loss on Christmas to the Rams and Baker Mayfield. And the Chiefs had a really close game with the Seattle Seahawks, but they ended up winning out because they are the Chiefs. And for this game, I don't think I really gotta even mention it. I'm gonna be taking the Chiefs very easily. The Broncos are just in a dumpster fire right now. That's just being honest, and that's just keeping it the nicest way I can say it. Yeah, the Broncos have just been a mess. Give me the Chiefs. After that is the Dolphins versus the Patriots. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, Tua has suffered his third concussion, and it's looking like he may not play. That's kind of just my assumption that he's probably not going to play. I don't see how you can have 3 concussions in a season and play the next week. I really think he's probably going to have to sit this week out. Just optically, it's going to look very bad on the NFL and the Dolphins if they play him this week. And on Sunday, the Dolphins played the Packers, and they lost that game, and it was really because of Tua. If we're being completely honest, Tua did lose that game for the Dolphins in the second half. He was atrocious. He was really, really awful, for just being honest. Now, it may have been the concussions. There's reports that he didn't show any signs of having a concussion during the game to pull him out or anything, but when you watch the game, he looked very awful. The first half and the second half are just 2 different players, honestly. He looked very, very awful in that second half, and there was a lot of he threw interceptions that were just who is he throwing it to? They're not even looking for the ball or anything. Yeah, he looked, I don't want to say concussed, because they said he wasn't. The doctor said, and I'll take the doctor's words, but yeah, he didn't look right. Let's just say that he didn't look right. He was just making mistakes that's just so questionable and really out of character. Throwing it to I think he threw it to Waddle one time, and Waddle wasn't even looking for it. It was Waddle was still running his route. Very weird. Yeah, this whole situation is weird with Tua and the doctors, and just Miami just with the concussions. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens this week. I'm assuming he's not going to play though. And the Patriots had a very close game against the Bengals. It was a 4-point game on Saturday, 22-18. It was a close game to the Bengals, and yeah, they almost had a chance to win this game. However, Joe Burrow and the Bengals continue to win and continue to, really look like a playoff lock team. And because of the Tua concussion, I'm gonna have to go with the Patriots. They're competing really well. They have a great defense. Mac Jones is being really dragged right now on Twitter and everything. He just got fined for being a dirty player. He had a low blow hit on one of the Bengals. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, he had a low blow, kind of like a chop block thing. And yeah, Mac Jones is getting dragged. We're not going to talk about that while I'm picking them. But I mean, their offense is it's just so iffy. Their offense is so up and down. Some days it looks good, some days it looks bad. But defensively, they're always pretty good defensively. And the Dolphins without Tua have just looked bad. I think they didn't win a game without Tua. So for that reason, I'm going to be taking the Patriots. I feel like they'll probably, they have their quarterback, they have their QB1, they have everybody else, so yeah, I'm going to be taking the Patriots for this game. After that is the Colts versus the Giants. Now, the Colts are just an awful team. They have Nick Foles in as quarterback. Then they benched Matt Ryan, and now it's Nick Foles. And yeah, Nick Foles didn't look good on Monday night against the Chargers. Let's just keep it a fact. He didn't look good. He missed throws. He was being pressured a lot. He didn't look good in pressure. Yeah, Nick Foles is just not a good quarterback. And the Giants were the Giants almost pulled off a win against the Vikings. It came down to a field goal, end of the game. It was very, very fun to watch. Just the last those last two possessions from the Giants and the Vikings were just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So for this game, I'm going to be taking the Giants. That's so easy. The Colts are just in an awful position. They have no quarterback. They have no running back. And yeah, they're just not that good. So I will be taking the Giants over the Colts. After that is the Saints versus the Eagles. As I mentioned earlier, the Philadelphia Eagles did lose to the Cowboys. And as of recording right now, there still is no really update about if Jalen Hurts will play this week against the Saints. Nick Sirianni just said that if he's healthy, he will play. So as right now, there's really no indication that he will play, like guarantee that he will play. If he's healthy, he will play. So we got to go with that. But yeah, even if he is healthy or if he's not healthy, if Gardner Minshew starts, I'm going to be taking the Gardner Minshew Eagles. Even though they looked very bad, they made a ton of mistakes. Though Gardner Minshew still played decent. He had a couple interceptions and stuff, but they put up points. Like offensively, they're gonna score regardless. And against the Cowboys defense, that's pretty good. They put up 34 points against the Cowboys defense, the Cowboys defense that everybody was really hyping up. Now the defense has kind of fell down to earth the past couple of weeks, but that's still a very good defense, the Cowboys. And the Saints put up 17 points last week against the Browns. I don't think I really got to say much about the Saints. They've just been, blah. They've just been blah. Like, they're winning games, sure, but no one's really scared of the Saints. No one's really scared of the Saints at all. For that reason, I'm going to be taking the Eagles. After that is the Panthers versus the Buccaneers. Now, this is a hard one to predict. This is so hard to predict. As we talked about, the Panthers really ran the ball all over the Lions. They won that game 37-23. And as we also talked about earlier, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did beat the Cardinals, but it was such a it was just Brady magic at the end. Just Brady has that magic to pull off and just wins out of I don't know. Brady just wins games somehow. When they looked really very bad that whole game, but they won in overtime. They won in overtime by a field goal. So, you never count out Brady, I guess. And because you can't count out Brady, this makes it so hard to predict. Every time you think Tom Brady is out of a game, he somehow makes it a game and he wins it. So yeah, this one's so hard because I don't want to count out Tom Brady, but then it's I don't really see, they struggle so much. His magic has to run out at some point, right? I'm going to be taking the Panthers this game. It's just, I don't know. I have a hard time picking Tom Brady for this game. They look so bad and then they pull off a miracle because the other team is just worse, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to be taking the Panthers. It's so hard to pick. It's so hard to pick. Give me the Panthers over the Buccaneers. After that is the Browns versus the Commanders. The Browns are coming off that loss to the Saints that we talked about earlier. And yeah, the Browns have just been so disappointing. I think everybody knew that Deshaun Watson was probably going to have some rust, but I don't think he just hasn't played good. He hasn't been better than Jacoby Brissett. Let's just be honest. He hasn't been better than Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was winning games, and now Deshaun Watson is in, and he hasn't even been able to win some of these games. They should have beat the Saints. They really should have beat the Saints, but they didn't. With everything the Browns gave up, they really need Deshaun Watson to be the X factor and win these games, and he's not. Now they're probably chalking the season up as a wash, but it's still something that you need to take into consideration that Deshaun Watson may not be him, but we still have to see. Give him an off season. Maybe he comes back to form. It's only been 3 games or something. He hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked like as He previously did, so that's the reason why everybody's kind of like, oh, about Deshaun Watson right now. But, give him an offseason. He may return to, Deshaun Watson form. But as of right now this season, I think the Browns would be better off with Jacoby Brissett. The Commanders are coming off a loss to the 49ers, but Taylor Heinicke did play really good with his job on his line. Taylor Heinicke played good. As of right now, there's really no answer if Taylor Heinicke is going to be, the quarterback again for this week. Carson Wentz can still possibly be quarterback. I personally do not believe in Carson Wentz, and I really do hope that Taylor Heinicke plays. Like I said, I thought he played pretty well, and he did make some splash plays. He did have an interception. But I thought he played well, There's no way that they were really going to win that game against the 49ers. Let's just be honest. There was really no real expectation for them to win that game. So I don't really, it just feels like he was set up to lose if his job was on the line. So yeah, I truly hope that he does play this week against the Browns, because the Browns are such an easy matchup for him. I feel like Taylor Heinicke would eat against the Browns. So yeah, I'm expecting Taylor Heinicke to play. I don't see them going to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is not good. And he wasn't even winning when he was, and I feel like they're making a mistake if they go with Carson Wentz. So yeah, I'm hoping Taylor Heinicke plays, and I'm going to be taking the Commanders with Taylor Heinicke. If Taylor Heinicke doesn't play, then I guess I'll just stick with the Commanders. So give me the Commanders over the Browns. After that is the 49ers versus the Raiders. We just talked about it, but the 49ers are coming off that win against the Commanders, and the Raiders are coming off that L to the Steelers. Yeah, that was a great game. That was a great game for the Steelers. That fourth quarter, ooh, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, the Raiders did lose that game. And yeah, I'm going to be taking the 49ers very easily. The Raiders just look very bad. And yeah, I don't know how they really improve, especially I don't think they flip it against the 49ers, the best defense in the league. Yeah, give me the 49ers, man. There's going to be a struggle for Derek Carr and the Raiders. After that is the Jets versus the Seahawks. Mike White is back, and he will be the quarterback for the Jets this week. This is huge news, because Mike White is better than Zach Wilson, and he played a lot better. Offensively, the Jets looked really good with Mike White. They weren't winning games, but offensively, they looked good. It's really big that Mike White is back, because he gives the Jets a chance against the Seahawks. Like we talked about earlier, the Seahawks were in a close game with the Chiefs, but they were not able to pull it out. The second half, the Chiefs just took over. The Seahawks are kind of falling down to earth. They've been falling down to earth the past few weeks, and I think this is really going to be a hard matchup for the Seahawks. The Jets defense is really good. We just saw that they held Trevor Lawrence to only 19 points. So yeah, the Jets defense is really good, and it's going to be a struggle for the Seahawks. And with Mike White, it's just offensively they're going to be a lot better. I'm going to be taking the Jets this week. I don't think the Seahawks really stand a chance with this Jets team. That defense is really good. And I think Mike White really just puts them over the edge offensively. I think he's going to, make some plays. So yeah, I'm going to be taking the Jets over the Seahawks. After that is the Vikings versus the Packers. Like we talked about earlier, the Vikings are coming off that just game-winning field goal drive. Game-winning drive, man. It was just a lot of fun to watch, but the Vikings pulled off that win against the Giants. And the Packers are coming off that game where they looked like they were down and out against the Dolphins, but they pulled it out. The Green Bay Packers have now won their last 3 games, and they're starting to really pick it up, and now they're fighting for a playoff spot. However, I think they're going to lose this game against the Vikings. Even though that the Packers are home, I'm going to be taking the Vikings. I'm just liking the Vikings, man. They just fight, man. They really do fight, and I like that. I like that they don't give up, and they win these close games. They play dirty football, but they're winning games, and I think they're gonna it's probably gonna be another close game, but I think they'll probably pull it out because they've been pulling out those wins, just those close wins all season. So yeah, I'm gonna be taking the Vikings. Probably be a close game, but I like the Vikings. After that is the Rams versus the Chargers. The Rams had that amazing game against the Broncos. They put up 51 points, man. They put up 51 points on the Broncos. And yeah, man, that was just that was just so crazy. Like, the Broncos defense was actually pretty decent, but that didn't matter when it came to the Rams. And the Chargers pulled off that win to clinch their playoff spot against the Colts. Now, it was a close game, if the Colts had a better quarterback, they could have probably made it a lot closer, but because they didn't have a quarterback, they lost 20-3. But yeah, the Chargers now have clinched their playoff spot with that win. It wasn't a great win against the Colts, but a win is a win, and they got that win. I'm going to be taking the Chargers over the Rams. I just don't think the Rams are not going to put up 50 points again, but I think the Chargers defense is better than, you know, the Broncos defense. I think they're going to play better. Now, I think the Broncos defense is better, but I think they lost all hope to play for. You know, they got destroyed, and they're just so down and out on their team that I think the Broncos really just gave up. And I think the Chargers are still playing, even though they got their playoff spot, I still think they're playing to really just, you know, just prove the narrative that they're a really good team. So yeah, I'm going to be taking the Chargers. I think Baker Mayfield really struggles this week. I'm going to be taking the Chargers. And finally, Sunday Night Football, we have the Steelers versus the Ravens, a historic rivalry, the best rivalry in football. In sports, I would say, man, I'm so excited for this game. I'm so happy that it got flexed to Sunday Night Football. With the Steelers fighting for their playoff spots still, man, I really think they're going to play really good. I think this is going to be the game where Kenny Pickett shines. I wanted that last week. I think this is the game, man. I think he's going to play this game, and Lamar Jackson may not play. Lamar Jackson still may not play this game. I think the Steelers have a great chance to win it. I said that, man, they would have won. That was like 2 games ago. They would have won. I think it was 2 weeks ago. They would have won if Kenny Pickett didn't suffer a concussion again. They win that game. Hands down, they win that game. They win it. They win it. Kenny Pickett has a breakout game. I'm taking the Steelers. And finally, we have actually a good Monday Night Football game. The Buffalo Bills versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And yeah, like I said, this is going to be like one of the best Monday Night Football matchups we had this year. Oh man, the Bills, one of the best teams in the league, like Super Bowl destined since the offseason. And the Bengals, you know, they were just in the Super Bowl. They were just in the Super Bowl, and they're looking like they can go back to the Super Bowl. This one is so hard to pick. This one is like, it's just, oh man, it's really hard for me to pick. I've been sitting here thinking about who I want to pick. I think I'm going to be going with the Bills. Like, I'm not confident though. I'm not confident at all. But with Collins' injury for the Bengals, man, I think that's really going to hurt them. It's really going to hurt them. And that's why I'm going to be taking the Bills. Collins was a huge part of that Bengals O-line. And now with him being out, man, it's going to be rough. We got to see how the Bengals really do without Collins, because, you know, as we know last year, Joe Burrow was like fighting for his life without, you know, Collins. So yeah, we got to see how the Bengals do without Collins, and because of that, I got to go with the Bills. But I still think it's going to be a fun game. I think, you know, honestly, I think that the Bengals can kind of really, you know, just rise above that injury and that loss. I really do think that they're that good. You know, they're that good. But you know, I don't want, you know, we just got to see it. I want to see it before I pick them, you know? If Collins was there, man, it's really 50-50. If Collins was there, it's so, like, I don't know who to pick. But because of that injury, I got to go with the Bills. We just know what the Bills are doing, you know? And without Collins, I don't know how Joe Burrow does and the offensive line does. And the running game, we got to see. I just want to see it before I can really, you know, have an opinion. So yeah, give me the Bills over the Bengals. It should be a very fun game. So yeah, that is it for NFL predictions. Make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more videos, and leave a comment and tell me what matchup you're looking forward to the most this week. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.